Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com, and this is a video to help demystify the stack and the heap so you can understand like what's going on with the stack and the heap in sort of simple, accessible, fun language. So first let's just discuss the concept, okay? So think of breakfast. So in breakfast, sometimes we have pancakes, okay? So I'm gonna stack some pancakes. So here we have our first pancake. Okay, then we have another pancake. So actually, I'll just copy and paste this pancake. So I have a stack of pancakes. So now here's the thing. In order for me to start this stack of pancakes, I don't eat the bottom pancake. Because if I eat the bottom pancake, well, then all of the pancakes on top will fall down and you break the stack. Okay? This visual is going to be important to understanding how the stack works. So in order for me to work my way through this stack of pancakes, I gotta eat the first pancake first. So let's imagine that I'm only able to balance 3 pancakes. Okay, what would I have to do if I want to eat 4 pancakes? I'd first have to eat the third pancake, and then suddenly there's room for a new pancake. And where does that new pancake go? Exactly where the old pancake left off. So when I put something new on it, it always ends up on top of the stack, but then when I finish something, it always ends up on top of the stack. So that's what the stack is in memory. Okay, the stack in memory is really just a last in, first out type data structure, or at least way it uses the memory. And again, memory is just that RAM chip in your computer. And the way that RAM chip in your computer works is that it's holding all the data as zeros and ones, and it's able to determine those zeros and ones by literally electricity. Okay, so that's why the RAM doesn't actually like hold information when you shut off your computer, because all that electricity going through the chip is gone, so all the information that the chip is holding is gone. So the RAM is fast because of that, but it's also not the place you store your stuff. So the information that you actually store between turning on and shutting off the computer, that's your hard drive, which is traditionally like a spinning disk of tape, not quite as fast as a grid of electricity. So whenever your computer is actually doing something, whenever you're actually doing something and you see it on the screen, that's actually really happening in your RAM for the most part. Okay. So that's why, having 8 gigs of RAM is better than having 4 gigs of RAM, and having 16 gigs of RAM is better than having 8 gigs of RAM, because that means the stack of pancakes can be bigger, which means you can have more things going on at the same time. But when well, okay, so let's just keep going. So when your program runs, okay, so let's imagine, okay, there's your program is a function. Okay, so I kickstart a program. So let's say we kickstart Microsoft Word or something. So that program is essentially one big function. So that's the first thing that's on the stack, the program. And essentially that program, that function ends when I hit like the exit button. Okay, so that is the bottom thing of the stack, and that's the first pancake. Now let's say the next thing I do is I create a new file. So that would be the next, so that triggers another function within the program, so that gets added on top of the stack. Okay, so that's like sort of the next instruction. And that new file is done when I close it. Okay, so now I have this thing on the pancake, and it's there until I close the file. Okay, then maybe I start typing to the file. Insert text, we'll say, and that might trigger another function to insert that text onto the file. Now, if I'm in the middle of typing, what's going to finish first? The insertion of the text. So that's going to get removed from the stack. And then let's say I close the file, then that's going to get removed from the stack, and then I can close the program. So everything kind of has to happen backwards. Okay, so essentially the newest thing has to finish before the older things can finish, because essentially every function is wrapped in the next function. Okay, and this can keep happening. I can keep stacking more and more sub-functions on top of each other. There is a point where you might hit the limits of your memory, and that's what they refer to as a stack overflow. You've overflowed the stack. You've put too many pancakes on top of each other. this ain't gonna work. Okay. Now the nice thing about the stack is that the question becomes, how do I make sure that I free up memory and whatnot? You don't have to think about it with the stack, which makes the stack a faster place memory-wise. Because essentially what happens is, let's say insert text finishes. Okay, well that part of the stack is now freed up. So then where does and so basically the computer doesn't have to think about it. It just knows that right now these are the only two things left on the stack. So where does it put the next thing? It just overwrites the piece of the memory that I was using for insert text, and maybe now it's insert table. Okay, so basically as I complete tasks, I'm naturally freeing up the stack, because I'm always end up placing the next thing wherever I'm at in the stack. So let's say I finished inserting the table, and then I close the file, and then I close the file. So now this is in my stack, and then I decide to create I open an existing file. Well, that just gets placed back on top of program. So see, like, all this space, it doesn't have to worry about whether the space is available or not. It may have used this space earlier for some other task that's now completed, and that stuff is still there, but it's just going to overwrite it when it gets there. So there's no memory management when it gets to the stack. Okay? And essentially all your local function variables traditionally are written, well, we'll come back to like variables. So that's the beauty of stack. Okay? It just stacks on top of each other. As your program wraps up functions, it whittles down the stack, and then this just kind of helps sort of naturally manage memory. Okay? The problem is, let's say what if the program, in order for something to happen in the program function, it needs information that's inside of open file, but the minute that open file is completed, like let's say I close the file, but let's say I still needed information from that closed file of some sort, well, that's been removed from the stack. That's no longer on the stack. That's no longer accessible memory. So it's like, okay, how do I get access to that data? Okay, and this is where the heap comes in. So going back to our breakfast analogy, imagine the heap like a heap of eggs. Okay, so on your plate you have this stack of pancakes, and next to it there's just this big blotch of eggs. There's no sort of starting point to the eggs. There's no ending point to the scrambled eggs. It's just literally a big heap of eggs. That's why it's called the heap. Okay, and that's what the heap memory-wise is. This is a portion of your memory that's not really in any particular order. So you stick a variable there, it's going to kind of just stay there as long as you want it. So the great thing about this is that I can have, so let's say I'm in this stack. So let's just kind of rebuild our stack here. So again, we'll just say this is open file. And we'll say here, this is insert formula into our document. Oh. And the problem is, this thing's going to wrap up. Eventually this is going to finish, but there's data in here that's going to be created in the processing of this function that I'm going to need back here. So if you were like programming in like the C programming language where you have to do this yourself, you would then use like a function like alloc, m meaning memory allocation. And what that would do is you'd say, okay, hey, well, you know what? This piece of information, we'll say the number 5, we're going to create a little spot for it over here on the heap. So when you ever use like that malloc function, what you're doing is you're saying, hey, I'm creating a new space here in the heap. So that way, when this function's done, this information's still there, still available in the heap, and now program can access it. So even though this may be finished, this 5 is still there. This 5 persists. Okay? The problem is, it never knows to get rid of this. Okay? This thing never is like, when do you get rid of this? Because there's no order to the heap. The heap's just literally a heap of data. So in C, you would then have to like make sure to like somehow think of when am I done with this variable, and then do like the free function to free up that memory from the heap. Okay, so that way be like, okay, I don't need this anymore. That's a lot of work. Okay, that's a lot of work. So when you're talking about languages like Python, JavaScript, or Ruby, which are higher level programs, they have what's called a garbage collector. And the garbage collector, and actually pretty much most languages now have a garbage collector. So basically what happens is that when your program is running, you don't have to think about whether your function is going to end up storing data on the heap or on the stack. It just knows what to do. It's going to essentially assess your code and think about it like, is this variable something that another function refers to that's lower on the stack, or that's, behind on the stack? Because there's different, sometimes you see the stack as a visualized as like top to bottom, but using this pancake analogy, it just makes more sense to stack them from the bottom. But so basically, let me go back and rebuild my stack. Actually, let me just do this. Okay, so let's say a variable gets created inside insert formula. It can see if the compiler or interpreter realizes that, hey, there's these functions here that might refer to the variable you created in here, then it creates it on the heap. If it looks at it and says, okay, neither of these previous stack items are going to refer to the variable that we created here, then it'll create it on the stack. Okay, or at least optimally it would. The thing is that, like, making that determination seems like a pretty complicated thing to me. So I imagine that when you're talking about like interpreted languages like Python, Ruby, JavaScript, they're probably, because it has to happen right away, because again, when you're interpreting, you're translating the code to machine code and then immediately running it. There isn't necessarily as much time to sit there and like assess how all your code's laid out. So I imagine that those interpreters probably use the heap a lot more. Okay? And the problem with that is that the garbage collector has to do more work, because that means the garbage collector has to pay attention on when to go back and get rid of these variables on the heap. And that's going to affect performance. Like, it's like having a maid. Okay, so imagine like if you like to cook, cooking can be messy. So programming in C is like cooking by yourself in your apartment, where, as if you don't clean pots and pans as you cook, you're going to run out of pots and pans and not be able to finish cooking dinner. But, having a garbage collector is like having a team, if you're like a restaurant for a chef restaurant, where you don't have to worry about cleaning as you cook. You just cook, and you have a team that's cleaning for you as you cook. The problem is the team is not free. Okay, so while you're not paying money for the garbage collector, you are paying in like processing power and memory, because the garbage collector needs its own memory, its own processing power to do that operation for you, of keeping an eye on what's on the heap and then making sure to free up that memory, because again, there's no order to the data here. So what the garbage collector is doing is paying attention to these functions over here and trying to assess, is there any more chance that any of these functions over here on the stack are going to refer to this variable here on the heap? If the garbage collector determines, nope, nothing on the stack will ever refer to this thing that you have stored over here on the heap, then it gets rid of it. Okay, and that's beautiful. So if you ever programmed in JavaScript, Ruby, or Python, you've noticed I never have to think about memory. It just happens magically. Now, then there are compiled languages that have garbage collecting, like Go. Now, since Go is compiled, I imagine that the memory of use is much more efficient, which is why people like Go. It has garbage collection, but it's still faster than Python, Ruby, and JavaScript, because a compiler doesn't have to rush. A compiler can take time and actually assess. Like, we can take a look at your entire body of your program and determine, okay, I know what your functions are. I know what kind of data your functions take in, and I know what kind of data your functions send out. So based on that, I can more efficiently then sit there and assess and be like, yeah, this variable will never, ever be referred to outside of the function. So in that case, this is going to be on the stack. This variable may get referenced somewhere else, so this is going to go on the heap. And this is why, like, when you're trying to optimize your software, like, at the end of the day, like, if you're using one of these languages, chances are you won't run into speed issues unless the program becomes pretty huge and it's processing lots of data. You'll notice when you start hitting performance issues. But understanding how the memory works, understanding how the stack and the heap works, allows you to think about the way you write your program to make it more optimal. And again, not something you should be thinking about right away. So like the first thing you shouldn't be initially thinking, how can I optimize my program? Although having certain principles about how you write your functions and this is like where functional programming comes in, where data is immutable, everything's kind of local, recursion. The purpose of all this actually does, like if you practice functional programming, you end up using the stack more often than the heap, and that's going to make your program faster. Okay, because your functions, basically the idea is that if your functions are perfectly encapsulated, okay, you're not necessarily making references. So I'm not pulling and the references usually happen when you're passing like arrays and objects between functions. If I'm not necessarily like creating an array inside or outside a function in a way that it has to be escaped, then I can keep my memory on the stack, and that's just naturally going to manage itself. The garbage collector doesn't need to do that. Okay, so think of it like that stack of pancakes. The memory naturally gets freed up by me eating the pancake. Okay, once I eat one pancake on the top, that space is freed up. So once a function completes and resolves, that area in the memory, that's a memory on the stack is freed up. Well, a heap, again, is just a heap of data. There's no order, so if I finish this function that referred to this variable doesn't know to disappear because there's the possibility that it might be referred to here and here. I'm just basically statically just plopping some data over here. So that's why the stack and the heap matters, and understanding the stack and the heap matters. And this is why, like, if you ever program in C, all your data written in a function is like super local, and this is why like you have to go through that extra painful step of allocating the memory anytime you have data in a function that you want to send outside of the function, because you have to create a pointer, but that pointer has to be to memory that's allocated on the heap, so that way that data will exist after the function's terminated. Cool. So hopefully this has been a fun lesson in memory, stack, heap, garbage collection, and understanding how programming languages sort of are working under the hood, and sort of what affects the performance of a programming language. And yeah, if you like this, feel free to share it with your friends who are also trying to understand this information, because I know the stack and the heap is not something that is the easiest thing to understand, and I know a lot of the videos out there don't necessarily explain it with the most accessible language or charisma. So hopefully this video will help lay that out for you. But my name is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com. Have a great day and enjoy.